that the U.S. government has used to maintain or control the general population's perspective of Black America. He has written 3 books on topics related to life in America for Black people and community development. Eddie Taylor is a member of the Association of Black Psychologists and the American Psychological Association. He has developed an annual career fair for Black America in Chicago, Illinois, and Gary, Indiana, to address the issue of economics within the community. Please help me welcome Eddie Taylor. The speech title is Another Look at Black America.
Fellow Toastmasters, honored guest, our special dignitary, and Mr. Toastmaster. When I began to look at my speech for tonight, I wanted to think of something that would be very significant for America, and then specifically for Black America as a whole. When I look at America, when I look at Black America when we came to this country, understanding that the most accurate records indicate that we arrived in this country around 1555. In 1555, Africans were brought to this country as slaves. We were not brought here for any benefit for ourselves, but we were only brought here for benefits of this country. And in 1555, when we were brought here, what happened to us when we were snatched from our home in Africa, we came to this country to have absolutely no salubrious benefit at all whatsoever. Everything that we were engaged in was to benefit this country. In 1619, which next year will be 400 years, there's record that 20 Africans were brought to Jamestown, Virginia. That's the record that most people know about, when 20 Africans were brought to this country. However, even the 20 Africans that were brought to this country were also brought here not to benefit themselves or Africa, but to make this country a better country for whites or those who are not from Africa. So as we came to this country, we worked and we toiled and we labored. We were not considered people. We were considered chattel. In essence, we were the same property value as the kitchen sink, the same value as the tub that they would bathe in. We had no value, no purpose, nothing at all. Everything that we had in Africa was stripped from us. And then in 1863, something significant happened for blacks in this country. Abraham Lincoln then had the Emancipation Proclamation, which then declared that we were considered free people. We then had the right of citizenship, the right to be considered American. However, 1863 was not in the Constitution. It was not a part of the amendments. It was not until 1865 that the 13th Amendment was ratified, which allowed us to be considered free. And then later on, we have the 14th Amendment and the 15th Amendment and the 16th Amendment, which gave us citizenship. It also gave us the right to vote, the right to have privileges and opportunities in this country. And after that, something interesting happened. In 1877, while we were free in this country, there was something called Jim Crow. And the Jim Crow laws came around. And there was a separation between whites and blacks. In 1863 and 1865, we had an opportunity in this country to all just be American. We had an opportunity to all just be one group of people in this country. But in 1877, the Jim Crow laws separated us. And so then there were colored and there were whites. There was those who had opportunities to have all the good things that this country offered, and then those that would get the less or the worse that the country offered. However, Africans, black people, continued on. From 1555, black people came to this country and continued to show that we are people. We didn't have any language, we didn't have any culture, we didn't have any history. All of that was ripped from us. However, we decided to build our own. We decided to have our own identity. We decided to have an understanding of who we are. Not really aware that we came from Africa. Not really aware of who we really were. But while we were in this country, we embraced this country. We learned how to speak the language of this country. We learned how to dress like the people in this country dress. We learned all of the things that this country offered. However, we're still not considered equal in value in this country. There was a movie that came out called Birth of a Nation. And when that movie came out, it showed black people as being horrible, monstrous people. It showed black people as being thieves, as being rapists, as being murderers. It showed us in the most morbid sense. And so people who did not know us feared us. People who did not understand us looked at us in a very negative way. But I think it's time that we take a new look at Black America and understand the other side of what happened. People were told to lift themselves up by their bootstraps. Black people had to develop their own boots. We had to make our own boots. We had to make our own straps. And we had to pull ourselves up. There were some, and we know of Harriet Beecher Stowe. There were some, we know of John Brown. There were some who were not black, who were not from Africa, who understood that people are people regardless of where they're from. So we had allies in this country. But there are so many things that we need to understand about black people. And that is that we're loving people. We're forgiving people. We're people that want everyone to live together, to be in harmony together. That's why we had so many of the segregation movements, the integration movements, rather. The integration movements was to say, in essence, blacks and whites should sit down together. Blacks and whites should have meals together. Blacks and whites should be able to be brothers and sisters in this country that we call America. This new perspective that we have of black people should be a perspective that shows that we contributed also to this country. We fought in every war in this country. We built some of the greatest monuments in this country. We helped to establish the wealth in this country. So whereas there's still one perspective of blacks as being thugs and criminals, that's something that has been going on for years. But we need a new perspective of black people. We need to look at black people in the way that shows us as being contributors to society. Mr. Toastmaster.
That was an excellent speech. Could everyone please take 1 minute and write some comments on the speech and pass those along to him?